Okay, now our cluster is running, and the domain name of the master node is this line. So how to connect to this master node is given in this link. In the Mac OS or Linux version, you basically use SSH to be able to connect to the master node. I open my terminal. Let's increase the font a little bit. Okay, I think that's enough. Alright, I paste the line. However, the place where I keep my key file is different, so I give the path to my key file. Just type in yes. Okay, so right now we are in the master node of the Hadoop cluster. Now I'm going to download the Java files into this master node from the S3 bucket. So you can use Hadoop fs command to be able to do that. The command is get and give the path to the Java file. So the path. Okay, let's create a directory first. Okay. The path is an S3 path, so it is represented like that. Give the name of the bucket slash name of the folder and the destination folder. Okay, so let's go to the folder. Alright, here are the Java files that I need to compile. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create the class files. So I'm going to create another directory. To be able to compile these Java codes, you need to know the class path of the Hadoop library. So you can find out about it by running yarn command, yarn class path. So these are all the libraries that you're going to need. So basically you copy them. And while running the compiler, you give these paths into the class path argument. And into the folder classes, compile all the Java files. Okay, let's see. Okay, the class files are created. Now from the class files I'm going to create the jar file. So I'm going to use the jar command and give a name to the jar file. Let's give the name maxt. And then you have to give the names of the class files. Okay. Now the jar file is created. I'm going to upload that jar file to S3 buckets, so I can use Hadoop fs again. This time instead of get, I'm going to say put max jar to okay. Okay, now we will go back to our console. Let's see. Okay, here is your jar file. Now we can actually submit a job to the Hadoop cluster. Let's go back to EMR console. Select our cluster. From the Steps tab, we're going to add a new step. Okay, so the type here should be a custom jar. You can give any name. Let's say max temperature. You should give the location of the jar file from the S3 bucket. And this part is important. This is basically whatever is the rest of the arguments to Hadoop jar command. So this is the jar file and which class you would like to run from the jar file. You should give the name. So we're going to run max temperature class. And this program takes two additional arguments for input and output folders. So input folder is an S3 bucket, and input. And the output should also be a folder which does not exist. So again, it's inside S3 bucket. Let's give a name output. Okay, that should be it. Let's add this step. Alright, now we're going to wait for the job to be completed. You can always refresh from here. Okay, it's running now. Still running. Okay, if it says completed here, then that means that everything is okay. The job is finished. There is another link here, says view logs. It says no logs created yet, but after a few minutes, there could be standard output, standard error, and system log uh, files. The links to these files will be created in here. So you can just go ahead if there is something wrong. For example, if the job failed, you can check the log files and to see the reason why your job failed. Okay, so our job is complete. Now we would like to see the output of this program. So we have to go back to S3. Okay. As a result of running this job, a new folder was created here saying output. So this is, I think, the default number of reducers that the Hadoop cluster is set up for. So probably we're going to have a single output, so it should be inside this folder. You can double click it and it will be automatically downloaded. Okay, is it this one? Okay, so you see the result is a year and the temperature number. That is the result of the Hadoop job. Okay, uh, this is how you submit jobs to your clusters. As soon as you are done with your jobs, make sure that your cluster is terminated, because if you don't terminate it, it'll cost you. So to be able to terminate the cluster, let's go back to EMR. Okay, select your cluster first. Then this termination protection label should be changed to off. Now you can actually terminate the cluster. While it is terminating, you can go back to your S3 and you can delete your bucket as well. But to be able to delete it, you have to delete all the folders that is inside it. So I select all the folders and say delete. When it says done, you go back and say delete. Now your cluster should be terminated. It's still terminating. Just make sure that it is terminated. And you're done with it. You can use either EMR to do your assignment, or you can just install Hadoop on your own local computer. And that's the end of it.